We're live. We're back with another episode of Church Ball. Chase is with me as always. If you didn't listen to our last episode, make sure to go check it out. It's timeless. It's evergreen. So much good stuff in there from a former draft scout, current NBA draft analyst, Matt Babcock of BabcockHoops.com. Go check it out. We dive into Yegor, Cannon Catchings, and AJ DeBansta, all their draft comps and everything. It was a great podcast, Chase.
It was great. What a way to kick off with the first guest ever on Church Ball.
Oh, yeah, he was the first guest, huh?
Yeah, and it was a banger. Absolutely go listen to it if you haven't.
Yeah, make sure to go listen to it. Great show. But for today's show, we're gonna talk about the San Diego tournament, the San Diego Invitational. BYU's playing in it. They're playing Ole Miss on Thanksgiving. So, Chase,
that's not what it's called. Wait, that's not the name of the tournament, Karter.
The Children's Invitational.
Is it Ray Children's?
The Radies.
Radies Children.
Radies, Raddies, data, tomato, potato. You know how it is. But we got the San Diego Invitational. We got Ole Miss, Purdue, NC State, BYU in it. Chase, this game is at 3:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Central, where you're at right now. You're currently in Dallas. The Cowboys and the Giants will be playing at that time. So a lot of people are going to have the decision of either watching Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush play on your TV, or you get to watch some beautiful free-flowing pick-and-roll basketball with Yegor, Cannon Catchings, and the Cougars. I think this is an obvious choice here.
Yeah, add on top of that, they're playing in a gym with only about 15 rows on FS1. Yep. Oh, man. I mean, people ask me, Chase, what's your favorite Thanksgiving week tournament? I always say, Karter, the Radies Children's San Diego Invitational.
In 2 years from now, in 26, I think I'll say Maui at that point. But now, probably. I think it's the San Diego Children's Invitational.
Yeah. Next year it'll be whatever I'm playing in the backyard. But this year, Radies Children's has got it. Got my heart. Can't wait.
I know. We just need some futures on it from BetMGM. Shout out BetMGM. We need those futures on it. But we've got BYU versus Ole Miss in this game. Chris Beard versus BYU and Kevin Young. Kevin Young's first real test as a college head coach. And we've got Ole Miss. They really haven't played anybody yet. They played Colorado State on a half neutral site game in Memphis or wherever. This is the first test for both teams, Chase.
It really is. It'll be a wonderful litmus test, like you said, for both teams, but we're going to focus here on the BYU side. What a way to kick off your college coaching career, really. It's against Chris Beard, one of the perennial college basketball coaches who's been in the game for a long time, won a lot of things, said a lot of things, done a lot of things. We're not going to get into all of that here on this podcast, but you nailed it right at the bat, Karter. I'm really excited to see Yegor, these guys we've seen finally play some real competition. I'm really excited to see Kevin Young coach away from home against a real team. What does he do adjustment-wise, sub-wise? I mean, this isn't going to be, this isn't UC Davis anymore. This isn't Pacific Life. This isn't Mississippi Valley State University. So I'm really excited to see the Cougars play some competitive, real basketball.
With that being said, both of these teams have played a very weak schedule to start this season. Both of them got taken down to the wire by at least one of these teams. Ole Miss, they went down to the wire, only won by 2 against Grambling State. Meanwhile, we all saw what happened with BYU on that fateful November Friday night against UC Riverside, where they almost blew that game too. So we're looking at 2 fairly equal teams, and you look at all the rankings and the AP and everything, they're both hovering around just right outside the top 25, which I'm so excited to see this matchup for many reasons, and we can get into our preview right now. We don't have a spread on the game. If I was going to make a number myself, I think BYU's favored by about 2.5 in this spot, Chase.
Yeah, I agree. If you look at ESPN analytics, if you buy into that sort of thing, I believe they give BYU about a 60% chance to win this game. So if you subscribe to those numbers, you can go ahead and hang your hat on that. But as far as the line goes, I put it right around there too. I can't see this game, being anything other than a real close for either side, given the fact that it's in a random gym, in San Diego on Thanksgiving. This just screams close game, down to the wire, free throws, all that good stuff that we love about college basketball. And it's going to be good. Like, it's going to be good.
What scares me about a BYU in a close game, and we saw this against Riverside for that matter, is I'll talk about the pros and the cons. Let's go positive first. The positive thing about BYU at the end of a ball game, if it's close, which it likely will be in this Ole Miss spot, is that they have a calming presence for maybe the first time ever, which you just give Yegor Demon the ball, and he can make it happen. Everything slows down. It's not as frantic as it usually has been in the past. But I'll say the one con with BYU, and I think this is where the game's going to be determined, to be honest, Chase. Free throws. This team is terrible at free throws. This team can't make free throws. 61.7% on the season shooting from the line versus Ole Miss, who shoots 74% from the line. That's going to be the difference in this game, and that's my biggest concern is these guys have to hit their free throws. And the other issue is it's not like, okay, it's the big men getting fouled and they're missing free throws. No, it's everybody. Nobody's shooting from the line well.
Most notably, Yegor Demon has not been shooting from the line well, which is obviously not expected. Look, Carter, like I said, I think it comes down to the wire and free throws. Those are going to be important points. And any good college team, any national championship caliber college team has to make their free throws. It's the way the world works. They are free. That's what we practice every single day. And it's odd for this BYU team to be doing this because as far as we know and as far as we've seen, good shooters been doing this their whole lives. They know what they're doing at the line, just not making them. Maybe switching up the court. I don't know. Like maybe they have soft rims down in San Diego, but it's been ugly so far this season.
Watching the Maui today, we're recording right now Monday night, November 25th, so we've gotten to see a little bit of the Maui right now. We need more soft rims in this sport, man, because this is fantastic watching this right now.
It's incredible. It also helps my ears. I mean, it just sounds better on the TV broadcast. Like, I mean, it's just the loudest clank whenever someone is bricking something. Just like, you're like, oh my gosh, they put the mic like in the net for crying out loud. But
and then you always think back, there's always so many dudes that had just legendary performances in Maui, like Anthony Edwards in that Georgia game where he dropped like 40 plus, went bananas, and guys like Zion and whatnot. Even guys in BYU, like Jake Toulson played super well in Maui as well.
Who can forget TJ Haas?
TJ Haas, legend.
Shut the F up.
Yeah, shut the F up, man. That's what, that was potentially going to be the name of this podcast, but, it got voted down. BYU, where do you think BYU ranks in college basketball right now for free throw shooting?
Okay, so we're
out of 364.
364. I'm gonna take a stab. They are ranked 288th.
330th in the country from the free throw line. This is a problem.
Can't get much worse.
This is a real problem. And it's not like they've played in tough road environments. This is going to be a real problem in this game. And let's actually talk about some matchups and whatnot. We've got Ole Miss. They're not the biggest team in this world. So it looks like Keba Keita's not going to be playing in this game. Kevin Young was very much against giving an answer on whether he was going to play in this game. We don't know yet, but at least BYU does have Dallin Hall back. Foose has been playing well. Boscovich will also be playing in this game as well. So there's the size there for BYU. But Ole Miss in their rotation, their tallest guy is really Malik Dia at 6'9". And he's super athletic, but we're going to see it's going to be a pretty small basketball game, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss's leading scorer, I can't remember his name right now, so forgive me.
Sean Padula from Virginia
the
Tech.
point guard. Right. Carter knows ACC basketball better than he knows his wife's name. Yeah, and as you watch the Ole Miss film, it's a lot of perimeter shooting, perimeter driving to the basket, passing it, or swinging it around and getting off those shots. And so I don't know if that works in favor of BYU. If there's one thing that this team struggled with, it's closing out on shooters and keeping them, running them off the 3-point line. In Ole Miss, that's where they thrive. That's how they play their basketball. So, you have Dallin Hall back, but you also have a tall Yegor who's going to be taking those point guard matchups, right? You have a Foose who, again, like you said, this Ole Miss team is small, but Foose still is an undersized center at 6'6". And then, of course, you have Cannon Catchings, who's taller than Foose, who's going to have to be guarding, Ole Miss's wing defenders. And so the key for BYU Thursday really is going to be getting on those shooters, keeping them off the line, but then being able to stay in front of them when they drive. Because, like you said, it's going to be small, it's going to be fast basketball. on
It's going to
Thanksgiving.
be fantastic basketball. And you talk about Ole Miss's guards. They're tiny, man. I mean, you got Jalen Murray. He's 5'11", listed at 5'11", so that really means 5'10", 5'9". Sean Padula. I watched way too much Sean Padula tape at Virginia Tech over over the years watching the ACC. He's listed at 6'1". It'd be very generous saying he's 6 feet tall. These are some short guards, but that's the thing. BYU, they're going to have success getting to the basket on BYU. And is BYU going to be able to collapse? Are they going to play zone at certain points? Because we saw that in the Mississippi Valley State game where they were switching to zone, and Kevin Young mentioned that multiple times at the press conference where he goes, yeah, we're just trying to change stuff up, see different looks, see how we look in zone and whatnot. And maybe that was him testing a little bit for the Ole Miss game.
Absolutely, because the flaw in this BYU team, besides the free throws, is like we were talking about, that defensive presence. They tend to overhelp, and they hedge hard on these screens, and they got burned by, I don't want to be rude, but we're getting burned by some less than mediocre teams when they played UC Riverside, UC Riverside. Those guys had some shooters, and they were knocking down those shots, and they hung in there, right, with BYU, and it came down to the last minute and being able to hold on to that leads for the Cougars. So this is a matchup to look out for. If BYU doesn't come prepared, they're going to get the ball just shot on their heads over and over against Ole Miss.
Absolutely. And the one big weakness when you watch this Ole Miss team is, one, they don't have a lot of depth. They run a pretty tight 7, maybe an 8-man rotation, and that's it. So if they can get into foul trouble, you've got Ole Miss right where you want them, and they struggle big time in the paint. You can score on them in the paint. If you can drive, we're going to see so much Jaeger pick and roll with Foose and all these other, and a lot of pick and pop with catchings as well. BYU's got to be able to penetrate and be able to have success in the paint in this game. And I think that's going to be tough without Keba Keita, if we're being honest.
Absolutely. You lose that lob threat and that high flyer that you can just chuck the ball up to. Whether or not we'll see a lot of Foose posts up, I don't know. My guess is we're going to see a decent amount, especially when Jaeger is not in the game and you're running with that second unit. But I'm really excited to see Jaeger go up against this matchup. Like you said, very small for Ole Miss. Who's guarding him? Who's going to take him and switch him on the pick and roll? What's he going to be able to do as he gets in the paint? It's going to be probably one of those Jaeger games where we don't see those step back threes that we love and are flashy, and we're going to see him have
a lot of passing,
9 assists by halftime, and it'd be like, this is one of those more quiet on the scoring side, but he's going to have a control over the game as this oversized ball handler against this undersized Ole Miss team.
And this will be a great test for him, bringing up the ball and dealing with the physicality of Power 5 basketball and really understanding, okay, how does he react and how does he adjust to, because Chris Beard, they play swarming defense. They press quite a bit at Ole Miss as well. And I think the matchup, I think the 6-man off the bench for Ole Miss is going to end up guarding Jaeger quite a bit in this game, especially by the second half. Jamin Brakefield. And you're like, Karter, how do you know Jamin Brakefield's name? He played at Duke for a little bit. I think he's actually a pretty talented player, but I think he's one of their taller players. This is a really small team, but super athletic. Malik Dia, have you watched, how much Ole Miss tape have you watched?
Yeah, I watched highlights from each of their games. Yeah,
it threw me off every single time when I was watching film on Ole Miss, and he just doesn't jump on his threes.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
It's like a free throw.
It's literally a free throw for him, and it didn't look bad. Like, it really, he didn't shoot it particularly great, but it didn't look bad.
No, in Ole Miss's most recent game, I think they started 5 of 6 from 3 in their first 18 points. Came out of their 20, came out from the beyond the arc, and they came out hot. And BYU needs to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? Repress that early on, because I don't think this BYU team has gotten off to particularly hot starts this season so far. And it kind of takes them a minute to get into rhythm of the game, especially Karter. And this is something we haven't even touched on. First road trip of the season. Yeah. These guys have never been on the road together, and you have to play a wacky time, wacky gym, wacky Thanksgiving game.
You have to play on a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a completely different environment. Your depth perception is going to be different. The crowd noise is going to be completely different. I mean, Carter, when you're a kid, you're in your teenage years, you're playing AAU or whatever. You show up to some random gym at 8 o'clock and it's like freezing. They just turned on the lights,
Yep.
and you're like, I got to hoop now. It's kind of that vibe that this whole tournament has. That's what makes college basketball awesome. It's pure hoops, and you get to see these guys in this environment. But it's a factor.
We'll keep talking about this tournament in a second, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. In this tournament right now, you mentioned right before we went to break that they're playing in this small gym and whatnot. I think that does matter, but I don't know if that necessarily hurts BYU. I think it's pretty easy to adjust from going to a big gym to a small gym. I think it's when you play in that small gym and you go to that big gym. Like for us, we're walking on the BYU basketball court after games, and you're like, man, this three-pointer looks really close right now. If I shot this, I'm airballing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think these guys are all seasoned for the most part. I mean, you have a couple of freshmen who may see minutes, and Elijah Crawford, and obviously Cannon Catchings. Yegor, although he's a freshman, he's not unseasoned. I guarantee he's played in his fair share of gyms. And at the end of the day, all the rims are 10 feet tall, and the 3-point line is just as far as away. So it'll be a factor. Like I said, I don't want to contradict everything I just said and you just said. But at the end of the day, maybe we see a high scoring one because of the depth perception, because people don't understand how big of a thing that is.
It's huge. I mean, like, think about the first time you went and played in a big time arena, in like a 20,000, 10, 15, 20,000 seat arena. You shot around for the first time. You're like, it takes a good 20, 30 minutes of shooting to like really adjust. But no, you got to come in cold and you got to be ready to play, because we see it in the Maui right now. We've got guys just standing in the corner waiting to get on, like they're playing a pickup game, ready to come on the court. And you're just standing there waiting for that Purdue NC State game to end.
Yeah. You're watching their team. It's awesome hoops. There's a reason when Gonzaga and Michigan State played on the aircraft carrier, that game ended like 47-49. Like, it just can't put the ball in the hoop, man.
We need some soft rims in San Diego. We should probably make some predictions real quick. Last thing I want to bring up is BYU ranks second in the country in rebound margin. Ole Miss ranks 175th in rebound margin. So winning the glass is going to be so big in this spot. But without Keba Keita, and I think that these early season college basketball numbers can be so misconstrued, because look, these teams really haven't played anybody, so it's really hard to gauge, okay, how are they going to react against a Power 5 opponent, because neither of these teams have played anyone near that level.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you're saying, the rebounds are going to be huge. Foose is going to need to play big. Boskovic, who's people don't realize is the tallest player on BYU's team, is going to have to play big. He's probably going to be playing a lot of 5 Thursday, which isn't necessarily his natural position, but he can play it, and it'll be a good test for him to do that. So,
what's the closing unit you think in this game? Let's say it's a close game. It's 75 all. 2 minutes left. What's your closing unit?
Well, you're obviously going Yegor, Cannon, Dallin. I would go with Richie in that instance, and then I honestly think I would go with Foose. It depends how the game's gone. If Foose has been exposed in the post, which I don't see happening, especially with Ole Miss's offense,
then
either. Maybe you want to roll out Boskovic if you like that matchup better, or if you're looking for more shooting on the perimeter from the offensive side. But personally, I would go with those 5: Yegor, Dallin, Richie, Cannon, Foose.
I think the first 4 are locked in no matter what. I think they have to be playing the closing minutes in almost every single game.
Yeah.
Unless a guy like Trevin Nell is just red hot from 3, or Dawson Baker's red hot from 3, maybe you swap some guys out and whatnot. But I think you're right. I think it really depends on, okay, is Foose little baby hook going in this game, or is Boskovic able to use his athleticism and size to get stuff going, or is he able to get guys involved in that spot, and just dependent on matchups at that 5 position? In this game, if you told me like Moet Mag ended up playing the 5 in weird spots, I wouldn't be surprised.
Me neither, especially if you like a particular matchup and you want Moet to go out there and really shut someone down. That's what they brought him here for. That's his specialty. So for sure. Let's go ahead. Can you do let's do a little score stat line prediction? Not necessarily. Who do you think leads BYU in this game in points?
I think Cannon Catchings is going to lead BYU in points in this game. I think they're going to need an efficient game out of him. I think they're going to need him to shoot 40% from 3 in this spot. This is a tough matchup for BYU. I think it's going to be high flying. It's going to be super fast basketball. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I think it's going to be up and down, small ball. The tallest player on the court is going to be Malik Dia for the majority of this game at 6'9".
Yegor a lot of the time.
Yegor a lot of the time as well. If BYU can get guys like Malik Dia in foul trouble, that puts BYU in a great spot where Ole Miss is going to be solely reliant on the 3 ball, and they're going to be chucking all game. And if BYU can, defend the 3 well, I like BYU in this spot. I'm going to take BYU in a close one. I'll give you a little score prediction. We'll go BYU 82, Ole Miss 79.
Okay, close. So BYU covers our fake line.
Our fake line.
We made. Yeah, I like a big Cannon catching games here. I think this is kind of his breakout. We have Yegor with 13 assists and Cannon with 26, 27 points. This is his type of game. It's his kind of gym. It's his kind of environment. I mean, this is AAU basketball at its closest in the college level. I think this is his type of game. And I do think BYU takes care of business here. First road trip. They have the best player on the court who I think, as much as we've been so impressed with Yegor and the nation's caught up with us, we still take credit for being the first. And then everyone's just going to see even more here when he plays a caliber of team like Ole Miss, a ranked team, by the way. We're going to see just how much he controls this game. And you're going to be like, oh, he's dictating everything. Everything goes to this cat. Whatever he says goes. So I like BYU winning. I don't know if I see quite as many points as you do in this game. I'm going to go BYU 66, Ole Miss 60.
Oh, we got a little low-scoring affair. A little, not quite Virginia basketball, but
no.
Big Ten football-ish.
Yeah, first real opponents for both teams. You kind of feel each other out, and the shots take a minute to fall. Defenses are figuring out.
My reasoning for the high score line is I think there's a lot of fouls in this game. I think it's just going to be a foul city left and right. Couple things we didn't touch on that I wish we would have done earlier, but we should talk about it right now. Is another thing I like for BYU in this spot is Dallin Hall's back, and I know it was Mississippi Valley State. I understand they were the worst team in KenPom, one of the worst teams in college basketball, but he gelled really nicely with Yegor, and it seems like it really didn't seem like there was any rust. And Kevin Young talked about that, where they worked together constantly, him and Yegor, while he was recovering from this injury in practices and whatnot, to say, yeah, he shook off the rust in practice, and we saw it in the game last week. And I think that's a huge thing. And the other part is, Chase, we talked about how disappointed we were with the second unit when they came in. Now I'm not as worried about the second unit in this spot. That's a huge thing in a big game like this against a Power 5 opponent, because you'll have a calming presence like Dallin Hall in there where it's not as frantic, and you have a guy you can go to say, hey, control the ball, control the game, run the offense. Because, to be honest, BYU didn't have that in their opening 4 games.
Yeah, it is a huge thing, especially if you, like us, think this game's going to be up and down the court with a lot of fouls, because you're going to need guys ready to go.
We cannot see cheap fouls from Dallin.
No, he loves to do that, Karter. He loves the foul 40 feet away from the basket.
I am curious to see how Yegor reacts to his first time playing in a big-time college basketball game and dealing with big-time college basketball refs, because I think he's going to see – because there's going to be one – every single college basketball game they have this, but there's going to be one horrific block charge call, and he's going to be like, wait, this is how they do this here? That's a charge every single time?
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. But yeah, I got BYU winning in a close one. The free throws, man, that's my number one concern going into this one.
Gotta knock them down. You
gotta
knock them down. What about the rest of the tournament, Karter? Who do you got? Who do you think? If BYU wins, obviously they play the winner of the other game. If they lose, they play the loser. So who do you see advancing from Purdue, NC State?
So we got Purdue, NC State. Final Four rematch, which is the funniest thought ever when you really think about it. No Zach Edey in the spot, no DJ Burns, so not as funny, not as a Twitter legendary meme basketball game for us. But
I would say the stakes are higher though. I mean, this is Rady's Children's.
That's what we said. This is the biggest tournament on the planet.
Only
the elite of the elite are in this tournament. But it's actually a great tournament. But
it is.
Purdue, NC State. I like Purdue in this spot, but I think that we're going to see a line come out, and it's going to be like, oh, Purdue by 12.5. And I think NC State keeps this one a little closer. NC State is that annoying team. They're like the Arizona Cardinals of college basketball, where you're like, oh, yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to win this game. And then they lose by like 20 points and score 6 points against like the Seahawks. And then you have NC State, and you're like, oh, they're going to get crushed in this spot by a team like Duke. And then go out and whoop Duke. And there's no rhyme or reason to a Kevin Keats coached team. They've got electric guard play. I like Middlebrooks. I like O'Connell. I think Taylor's great. But I think Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Wren get it done. I think Braden Smith is one of the best guards in America. And if it comes down to a close game, I'm going to trust one of the best guards in the country in himself. I think Purdue wins in like a 4 or 5 point game, pull away a little bit at the end. And then I think we see Purdue BYU in the title game. I think it's going to be a college basketball feast week classic.
I'm telling you right now, we need BYU Purdue. We need that game to happen.
I'm actually happy with either result because that BYU NC State game last year in Las Vegas was very funny.
It was. And looking back on that and realizing that that NC State team went to the Final Four is crazy.
Absurd.
I don't know if they'll do that again this year, but BYU Purdue would be amazing hoops. I'm really hoping that happens. We'll see.
I think that's what we're gonna get. I hope that's what we get. What if we got it in the opposite fashion though? It's like NC State, Ole Miss end up in the title game, and we end up getting BYU Purdue in the losers bracket.
I would take it, I guess. I mean, a big opportunity for BYU to prove themselves, right? If they want to be like who we think they can be, you have ranked opponents in front of you. You have an opportunity to show the country what's up.
And that's going to be the interesting part is Kevin Young talked about that in his last press conference as well, where this Ole Miss game and whoever they play on Black Friday, this is the first time we're going to see real national criticism. There's going to be a lot more eyeballs on Jaeger and Cannon Catchings, and this is their first time going to be dealing with social media just looking at them through a magnifying glass, and that can be a tricky thing for these young guys. I think they're going to handle it fine. I'm not too worried about that, but I think that is something to watch out for this week when they match up against Ole Miss and hopefully Purdue.
We'll see. But yeah, first nationally televised game in the country's. I mean, come on. If you're a college basketball fan, you've been waiting to watch Jaeger. I mean, if you don't already have ESPN Plus, but watching him play a real team, it's awesome. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Anything else on this tournament before we'll take a quick break and we'll do football, but anything else on this tournament?
I got a question for you, but let's take a break. All right, Carter. So you're sitting down. It's 3:30. What time you guys eat Thanksgiving dinner? Is it like around then? It's always like afternoonish, right?
Carolina, it's pretty early. It's like noonish. Like so we're like on Utah time. It's like third, fourth quarter of the Lions game. Carolina time, it's the start of the Lions game.
All right, so you're sitting down. You've already eaten. You're like you're stuffed, right?
Oh yeah, 2 Tums already inside of me.
Jaeger Demon's on your screen. You got a slice of pie, or not. What do you have in front of you? What are you eating for this game for feast week? What are you feasting on?
I don't know. Maybe some Nerds gummy clusters at that point. Maybe I don't know.
Candy.
I think it might be at a candy point at that point. I think I'll be a little turkeyed out.
No pie? Are you a pie guy?
I'm not a pie guy. It depends what pie. There's a Snicker pie I like, but I'm not a pumpkin pie guy.
I'm not a pumpkin. Anything you have to douse in whipped cream means it sucks.
Yeah, and pumpkin's not a food.
No, it's something you carve.
Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, keep going.
No, that's it. I wanted to know your Thanksgiving thoughts, your Thanksgiving food thoughts.
Oh, no, I'm so excited. I know I will. I have been. So I also host the other podcast, Kartercast or whatever. Check it out. I have been getting a lot of flack that I said I'm more excited for Ole Miss BYU than I am NFL football that day.
Every NFL football game, Carter?
Yeah, I'm a hoops guy.
All right.
Yeah,
You can't argue with that.
I'm dying. I've been begging. We've been going to these BYU games, and it's awesome going to the BYU games. Nothing against that, but I just wanted to see them have a real test, and we finally get that on Thursday. And I'm so excited to watch that. Packers Dolphins is going to be a great game, though.
Yeah, that's my one thing. I was like, show me the NFL slate and tell me why I should be excited. I think it surprises us, but the Packers in Lambeau, it's gonna be freezing, Carter.
Yeah, I like the Bears to keep it close against the Lions, but BYU fans might clown me for that one.
No, Bears plus 10.5 is tasty.
Yeah, it is. It's a little spicy. And then a little Giants Cowboys under while I take a nap right before the BYU game. Who says no? Who says no?
Who says no? Speaking of football, Carter, sad week here in Provo.
Oh my goodness!
Not that I'm in it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I'll be at the Houston game on Saturday, and this BYU versus Houston game, Lavelle Edwards is either going to be the most depressing place on earth at kickoff, or it's going to be the most anticipated kickoff in Lavelle Edwards history. There is no in between. It is going to be one of the weirdest moods we will see, and I'm praying one of these teams fall in this spot, whether it's Iowa State or Arizona State, and we get to see BYU have a chance to beat Houston Saturday night, 8:15 Provo kickoff. Chase, BYU fans are going to hate me. That's fine. Hate us. The funniest thing is if, like, let's say Iowa State lost and BYU lost to Houston. Would that not be the most BYU thing to ever happen?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It would be.
I don't want to speak that into existence, knock on wood, but no, I'm excited for Saturday, but I'm extremely nervous. So if let's pretend you bet on sports. You're
pretending.
Pretending you bet on sports. The perfect emotional hedge is out there for you. It's Iowa State money line, Iowa State and Arizona State money line parlay. It's like plus 125, plus 130. It's the perfect emotional hedge if you're a BYU fan.
What are your emotions worth? How much, if you could put your money, how sad you would be if BYU missed a Big 12 title berth? Whatever that's worth, slap that on that parlay, and you got yourself a great emotional hedge.
Yeah, you got tickets to the Big 12 title game, Chase.
Yes, just to clarify, I did not purchase them. However, I do have tickets, and I'm very excited, very grateful. If BYU goes. If not, I'm pretty sure those tickets will be sold, and I will not be attending to watch Arizona State take on Iowa State, if that's the case. But, Carter, is this the most depressed 9-2 team, fan base of a 9-2 team of all time?
No, there's some there of BYU all time. Yes, but
of anyone.
No,
9-2 is a great season.
No, because you got to think about those couple 2-loss Saban teams. Tuscaloosa was on fire.
They still went to they still made the playoff at 9-2.
At 10-2, like 10 years. Like no, I'm talking about like before the playoff when they would go 10-2, and then you're out of the BCS.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And you know how depressing that'd be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I just need a message. I mean, my message to BYU fans. I get it. Like we're also sad. You were 9-0, and you had aspirations. You were supposed to win 4 games. The line was 4.5.
And but in BYU fans' defense, it's the way it went down. It's the way it's collapsing is the issue, where it was super unlucky against Kansas and questionable play calling in that game. And then you have the Arizona State game and all that happened in Tempe this past weekend. It's the way it went down because it was right there for the taking. It's like how Russillo talks about D'Angelo Russell. BYU did all the hard stuff well, and the easy stuff, they made it impossible.
It's true. It's been heart-wrenching to watch this team lose 2 in a row and all of a sudden be on the outside looking in when they were in the driver's seat, ranked 6th, had an at-large bid right in front of them. I just, in perspective, if you told any BYU fan, hey, you're going to be 9-2, before the season started, we would all be like elated. We'd be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And now we're getting a little. I don't want to say spoiled. It's been a fun season, and I want to emphasize it sucks for me too. I hate it, but I'm just maybe let's just enjoy. Let's have fun. We have a chance to go to the Big 12 title in week 14.
Yeah, and I think the firing the coordinators crowd and whatnot, it's like, hey man, you're 9-2. That's where I have the problem. But I think it's okay to be upset though, because man, this has been depressing the way it went down.
Yeah, it has. It's not over. It's not over. They still have a 50-50 chance about. So
you know what they say, Chase? It's not over until the fat lady sings or until Kansas State chokes.
Right. Well, it's been over a lot then. Heyo, I tell you what, Karter, if let's say just pretending you were to bet, would BYU to win the Big 12 title at this point be sneaky good
what
bet?
Odds?
I'm trying to find it right now. Let's see here.
Getting stats department on it as we speak.
Stats department's on it.
While stats department's doing that, do yourself a favor. I know you're listening right now, and if you're listening, you're watching on YouTube, you're on Spotify, you're on Apple, hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, give us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening, at Churchball Pod on all social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Go follow us on there. You'll love it. Up-to-date BYU news. We will have interviews coming like we had Babcock on. We will see all the clips and everything on there. Make sure to go check that out. We're at all the home games and everything, so we'll be doing press conferences and whatnot as well. So go tune it. Go check all that out while Stats Department's working right now.
Yes, Stats Department's coming back. We actually don't have a great report. They're plus 360. Not great odds. Great odds, Karter.
No, would not touch that with a.
Yeah, stay away from that. I take it all back. So
yeah, you could. No, never mind. I'm doing math on my head on the spot.
Do you dare parlay that with someone else?
Yeah, well, I was thinking you take that Iowa State, Arizona State moneyline parlay, and then you also take BYU to win the Big 12 because that would coincide with each other. But does that would be like a double emotional hedge, and you wouldn't be solving any problems.
It's true.
So
it's true.
Yeah, the math wasn't adding up in my head. Sorry about that, fellas. Anything else before we go?
No, just enjoy Thanksgiving, everyone. Seriously, we're grateful for you who have listened to this podcast that's only been up for a little over a month now, and we appreciate all the love and support, and we're still going. We're still going to truck along, so we're grateful for you, and we're grateful for you telling your friends about us and for liking, following, subscribing, and interacting. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone that's listening right now. Happy Feast Week. Happy college basketball. Happy football. Happy everything. What a great week this is. We're recording on Monday. You're listening probably on Tuesday right now. You aren't doing crap at work. You're probably listening to this at work if we're being honest right now. So
yes, sir.
Man, put in a crap effort at work this week. Enjoy time with your family. Have fun. Tell all your friends about this podcast, and the numbers have been fantastic so far. We really appreciate everyone tuning in. BYU fans are the best, and we appreciate all of you. We'll be here all season long. Like Chase said, we'll be credentialed for all the games, getting behind-the-scenes access, and helping you guys stay informed about the BYU basketball team all season long. Make sure to subscribe, and I guess we'll see y'all next time. Happy Thanksgiving.